Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody, let's go.
Good evening. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope the show finds you in good spirits, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that, y'all. Sometimes we got to remember that, right? But we got a very short show for you guys today, okay? We got a few things that we got to get into a conversation about, and it all revolves around the diddler, okay? Sean Diddy Combs. There's been a lot that's been going on. There's a lot to discuss. A lot happened today. Man, things got wild. Things got very confusing. And things, in my personal opinion, got really frustrating. If you were watching my whole coverage, live coverage today, we were live for 7 hours straight. Diggity damn, okay? Long time. But we were covering everything that was going on. But we do have somebody who is actually in the room seeing everything, okay? He's been in the courtroom, and I cannot wait to introduce our friend onto the show, back on the show. It's going to be very exciting. So please, before we get into everything, hit that like button down below, crush it, hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, please hit that follow button. I'm on all of them, okay? Make sure you hit that subscribe button here on my main channel. Head on over to my second channel. Yes, I got a second channel too. It's called The Pascal Show Clips. Go over there. Subscribe over there as well, all right? Your boy's working hard out here in these streets to give you the information and the conversations that you need. So make sure you are subscribed to both channels. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys, all that mucky muck out the way. Okay, yes, we are back, guys. We are back for another conversation, a much needed conversation. And I'm very, very excited because this friend of ours, she's been on the show before. It's been a while. It's been too long, to be honest. She has a great YouTube channel by the name of Pop Crime TV. She is literally boots on the ground. She is a fly. Well, I don't want to call her a fly. Okay, that seems weird. But you know, she is in the room during the Diddy trial. She is here to give us all the information, all the juicy details, and then some. So please welcome Lauren Conlin to the show. Hello, hello.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm on the big screen. Oh my goodness.
Yes, yeah. I am very, very good. Okay, first off, I want to say it's been too long. It's been way too long since you've been on the show. So it's great to have you back. But can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what do you, just a quick recap, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say it's really sad, Pascal, because Sebastian Rogers is still missing, and that's how we first connected. So, I feel so terrible about that. But I am Lauren Conlin. I do have a YouTube, Pop Crime TV. I also kind of house my podcast out of there, The Outlier. I'm a reporter for Nancy Grace, and I also am covering the Diddy trial for Crime Junkie's new YouTube Crime Junkie Jury. So that's the new endeavor. And I'm covering it on, I guess, my own accounts as well. Twitter, of course, YouTube, and my TikTok at Conlin_Lauren. And what I'm trying to do every day, besides, reporting for Nancy and Crime Junkie, is I'm trying to do, or I am doing, 10-minute morning and afternoon recaps of what happened. I just tell you guys what's going on. I don't really give any opinions. You can form them yourself. At times, I'll try to sort of connect certain things to the indictment, because I know a lot of people, Pascal, are like, what does this have to do with anything? And I'll try my best to sort of pick that out. But yeah, that's the Cliff Notes.
That's what's up. Okay. And I know some people are like, oh yeah, this is the Nancy Grace. This is the Nancy Grace lady. Yeah. You've seen her on Nancy Grace quite a bit. She's she's a staple commentator and reporter on Nancy Grace. So yes, give her flowers. She does some really fantastic work. Please go and check out her YouTube channel. The link is in the description box down below. So go over there, subscribe, like some of her, watch them, of course, like some of the videos, and let her know that the Pascal Show sent you. Okay. But we got to talk about this, okay? Okay. First off, there's a lot to talk about. Like I said, can't wait to have you back on again so we have a little bit more time to break down some things. But how is the trial going in your perspective? Is it looking good for Diddy or is it not looking good for Diddy right now?
That's a really interesting question, Pascal, because clearly every trial, it depends on the jury, right? But I feel like in this case, it's really going to depend on whether or not the jury thinks that these charges, I guess, are appropriate. And what I mean by that is, I'll be honest. Like I said, I don't really give my opinion very often. We see that Diddy, what we've learned in court is he's a pretty diabolical guy. He's done some really, really bad things to women in particular. We've seen it with our own eyes. A lot of people are saying, where's the RICO? Or they're saying, well, I don't really know about Cassie or Jane being sex trafficked. And I mean, I guess on paper, they are marking the whole, okay, fraud, force, coercion based on maybe the beatings. Today we heard, and it sounds trivial, but today we heard Jane say, well, he promised to take me to this island via yacht after this hotel stay or freak off, and he didn't do it, but he promised he would take me after we did this, or I did this with an escort, and he took another woman. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's fraud. So I'm seeing all of this, like, by definition, sex trafficking. But I guess what you could ask yourself, or what one could ask themselves is, I've interviewed survivors of sex trafficking, and their ordeal did not involve private jets, stays at the Faena Hotel, getting their rent paid for, or anything like that. However, I think what's happening here is our culture is shifting. I'm not saying I agree or I disagree, but that's what's happening. And so it is kind of a crazy thought to think about this, where if you're a man, you've got money, and you've got a woman that you're kind of flying back and forth, or, she's saying, I don't know, I have a boyfriend, I'm married, but you're dangling things in front of her. I mean, is that a federal sex trafficking case? I don't know at this point. And so I think a lot of what I'm gathering here is, number one, I think that the government's hand might have been forced to a degree after Cassie's lawsuit dropped. Damian Williams, kind of threw this case together rather quickly. And, Maureen Comey kind of found it on her lap. And again, this part is my opinion, what I'm kind of seeing. And so it's kind of like, this guy did horrible things. He's gotten away with a lot of bad stuff for many, many years. What can we get him on? I don't know. That could be part of it, if you know what I'm saying.
One of the things I'm really concerned about, and I was just saying this on my show earlier today, or a couple hours ago, the main concern I have is that the jury's going to get lost in the sauce. And what I mean by sauce is that, like, there's so many different ingredients getting thrown in the sauce. You're suddenly forgetting that it's tomato sauce, right? It's just like, wow, there's so much other stuff. You got cayenne pepper, you got paprika, you got all this stuff on top of that you forget the real reason why you're even in the room in the first place. Because you're hearing all this added stuff. Jane Doe went through this, Cassie went through this, Mia went through this, etc. You're seeing all the attacks, the verbal and the physical attacks, and the essays and all that. But then you're suddenly going, wait, I'm sorry, what are we here for? Right. So then you instantly go, in fact, where are the racketeering and RICO charges then? And I feel like that's where the jury gets very confused. Because, like I said, they're throwing, the feds it feels like they're throwing everything and the kitchen sink at the jury. And they can't seem to pick out specifically that, or at least that's my fear, that they're not going to be able to physically know to pick out the right things for what they're actually in there for.
And that's why I think that the actual jury instructions that are going to be given by the judge, I think that could take a full day plus. I really think so, because you bring up a lot of good points. I've sat there at times being like, okay, like the male assistants specifically, I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm like, okay, what I'm hearing is Diddy was mean to you. Your boss was mean to you, and of course I'm being sarcastic, because, they did have to get immunity or a proffer agreement to go and purchase drugs for Diddy. They did set up these hotel rooms, which they are trying to connect to sex trafficking charges, so I understand. But yes, there have been times that I'm like, okay, let's move this along. But I think, again, the government is trying to paint a picture of what a horrible guy that he is. I mean, or was, or whatever he is. I mean, like, let's face it, he really is. I mean, today in particular was really just awful. I mean, Cassie was awful. It's all been awful, but today in particular, towards the end of the day, when Jane was describing the beating and everything, it was just like, man, okay. And then having to give this escort oral after all of that, you're like, okay, this is just, I feel awful and horrible. But yes, so back to your question, I think that the jury instructions are going to have to be a 1 to 2 day thing here. And they're really going to have to understand, because, you can sit here and say, oh no, we've seen RICO. You can say we've seen potential blackmail. We've seen extortion with Cassie's parents. But, what we haven't seen necessarily is a conspiracy. And I don't necessarily think these assistants that we've heard from are in on any type of conspiracy, so to speak. I mean, again, they assisted him because it was kind of their job with hotel setups, whatever. I think a conspiracy could come in if we hear from KK. I mean, where is KK, right?
Okay.
Like
And I'm so happy you brought that up, because I'm kind of curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
First off, where the hell is KK? And second, is she coming in for the defense? Is she coming in at all? Or is she coming in for prosecution? My theory is that she is coming in for prosecution, but she's a surprise. Like, she's a surprise witness because she's working out some sort of deal with the feds. That's what I truly think, because I could smell it a mile away. The feds are setting up to take her down. As soon as they're done with Diddy, they're going after KK. If this is successful, that's what I think. But what are your thoughts? Do you think she's coming?
KK and also D-Rock. We've heard a lot about D-Rock, who Mia also kind of hinted that he was really trying to offer her money, even though it wasn't it was inferred. But the KK thing, we've seen stipulations that have stated that they seized 2 of KK's cell phones and 1 of her laptops, and they've gotten a lot of text messages that we've seen in evidence off of her devices. So I feel like there's a couple things here. I mean, at one point, the government said their case in chief could end, by the end of this week. And I feel like that just won't happen. I mean, we're going to So I feel like at this point, we still have to go through Jane's cross-examination, which is going to take at least 2 days, go till Thursday, right? And so that would be 1 day for I don't even know. So
anybody?
I feel like, right. And also, I thought about this too. We heard this recording right before lunch today. It was a recording where Diddy's like, it's right after Cassie's lawsuit dropped, and he's talking to Jane, and he's like, this isn't being recorded, right? And a lot of us were like, we don't know where this technically came from. I personally don't think Jane recorded it, because she was dating Diddy and with him up until his arrest. I mean, she was literally with him when he found out about the CNN video. So I'm like, it's not her. So a lot of us were like, did KK flip by then? Like, did she? I don't know, but who knows? I mean, who the hell knows? It's
right.
I don't know. I feel like she's not going to be called. I feel like she would have already been called, but I could be wrong.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Well, maybe you're right. I just think it's weird that her name would be mentioned so many times. And I think she is the one who actually recorded the audio, the phone conversation for Diddy, because he was trying to get some smoking gun evidence or something, blackmail evidence, something to extort somebody, something. He was just trying to get as much as he can, I think. Let's be real. This is a guy who has been doing a lot of dirty leading up to his arrest. And then while he was actually in jail, he was still making phone calls and reaching out to still trying to tamper with potential witnesses, even while he was being locked up. So who's to say, like, I would not put it past him to try to do anything he could so that he can get out, right? Especially when he's turning to someone like Jane Doe and being like, I need a friend right now. Don't worry, your bills will be paid. Like basically, like he didn't say it verbatim, but he basically implied like, don't worry, I'll pay for your $10,000 a month house. That still be taken care of. I got you, but I need you as a friend. Basically, like I need you on my side. I need you to lie. If I need you to lie, I need you to be on my side as much as possible. But as far as Jane goes, and we got to talk about that too, but I truly think that she is so brainwashed, or at least she's coming across like that on paper, that it's just, I don't know, it's so off-putting. So I'm kind of curious about that. Obviously, there's not a whole lot we could talk about, like as far as identity-wise and all that. And I say, let's keep that, let's leave that off the table. But as far as what she is saying on the stand, her demeanor, what she's saying? Because right now we're all reading things in black and white, but you're hearing it audibly. How is it being presented? Is she looking like a weak, like a sweet little innocent, naive little lamb? Or is she, you know what I'm saying? I'm so confused here. You know what I mean? Because I've heard some people say, oh, she's just a professional baby mama. She's just there for the money. What is the perspective that you're seeing for yourself with her whole testimony so far?
Gosh. Oh, like this is where it just gets hard. I mean, as a female, I can empathize with her to a degree about a lot of this stuff, when you know that a guy, and again, this is just top level. So I'm not talking about being beaten or being coerced into anything. I'm just saying I can understand from a female perspective when you're being mistreated by a guy that you really love and they say all the right things and they rope you back in. I think, after a while, enough is enough, right? And so I would say her demeanor on the stand is she's very soft-spoken. I'd say she's well-spoken also. I was surprised. She really, she's not what I thought she would be, honestly. But with that being said, I think up until this afternoon, I was kind of like, okay, what I'm hearing a lot of is a toxic breakup. We've heard so many back and forth text messages of her saying, and she has all this in writing, I don't want to do this. Sex is sacred to me. I don't want to necessarily be with another man. But then she would literally tell us herself, well, I loved him so much that I just figured I'd make him happy. Like she has said this so many times.
Right.
And what we heard about this afternoon was a brutal, brutal beating, right? A brutal one, which he didn't put his hands on her like that for 4 years. It took him 4 years to beat her. And what's so crazy is that he did this after the Cassie video came out where he said, I'm working hard to be a better man, all this stuff. And then
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So
and some might think that maybe it was, well, this doesn't, let me just say this. Let me preface this. It doesn't excuse what he did, but some might say it was from the stress, like the added stress from the Cassie video being dropped and all that maybe everything just kind of came to a head and then he just exploded. Right.
Well, see, it's funny that you say that because of what I heard from Jane on the stand this was her explosion. And I'll tell you why, because again, she had said her piece so many times. I mean, at one point he would tell her, come to New York. She wasn't going to come. I promise it'll be just us. She's in the air flying and he sends her pictures of escorts. And she's like, oh my gosh, but she does it anyway. This horrible cycle. So he says to her, no more, no more. They go to her house or their house, I guess, for this date night. And it's funny because she's like, yeah, his assistant came over and helped me set it up, put the red lights out that he liked, the candles, whatever. And at a certain point, she just said they had a little bit of champagne, tequila. And she just asked him point blank. He was on this family trip in Utah the weekend before. And she just said, who is the girl you're with? I know it wasn't a family trip. And I think this girl that keeps coming up is Gina. We've heard Gina's name mentioned on the stand a number of times. And then we've also heard another woman. But every time we hear about this woman, we hear about her being younger. I mean, Jane actually said that she called Diddy I don't want to mess up your algorithm, but a pedo, basically. And the government had to be like, well, she was over 18, right? Had to kind of reiterate that. So she brings up, you were with, I'm assuming Gina, I'm speculating. And Diddy says, no, they get in a fight. And she says that he bends over to tie his shoe and she slams his head against this marble table, she books it, she runs. And I don't know. I don't want to. Did you go over this fight? I don't want to repeat anything that you said.
Oh, no. It's all good. I mean,
okay.
yes, we I went through the transcript and, shout out to Inner City Press, but, from him and his shorthand breakdown of the transcript. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty brutal.
He broke a door to the point that it was off the hinges. He broke 4 doors in that house to get to her, had her in a chokehold. I mean, she ran away. She came back. He punched her in the head twice, kicked the crap out of her. The slapping in the shower, I was just like, I'm sorry, what? And then
that's crazy.
What's that?
I said it's just crazy.
It's insane. You're like, what is wrong with this guy? I mean, like, it's diabolical. I don't even know another word for it because I'm just like, but then I guess I'm getting to maybe the most diabolical, which is, after she calls who I'm assuming to be Gina, maybe not Gina, on the phone, and Gina starts hurling insults at her. She says that he holds her down and forces her to listen to these insults being hurled at her until she yells out, "He's beating my ass." And then Diddy hangs up the phone. Then she sees him go, and this part is crazy. And maybe you guys can figure this out, but I haven't had a chance to research. But Diddy takes her phone and texts Anton after. And so she comes out of the shower. He's texting Anton. That's an escort. And he scrolls up. Did you guys hear about this? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Scrolls up, sees that they had like a mutual friend in common. And he's like, wait, what? And so she's forced to explain that in January of 2024, she went to Vegas with a rapper and his girlfriend. They had a session with Anton. So they used the same escort, and I guess she watched. And I was like, wow, is this normal?
This is normal.
Boring? Like, no, I'm just kidding. But like,
no, but no. But what's crazy is that is exactly what I was saying when I was reading the transcript at that time. I'm like, wait a second. So is this just a staple thing that just people in the music industry do? This is insane. Rich people are crazy. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Rich people are just wilding out. You know what I'm saying?
To laugh, but yeah.
No. Trust me, you need to watch my show.
I know. I'm kind of like, I'm sorry, but like, what am I missing here? Like they use the same guy. Yeah. So he gets mad. She kind of tells him,
Crazy.
Or she doesn't tell him then. She tells him after because he berates her after. But point is, Anton comes over. He pulls her into the bathroom. He gives her an e-pill. He tells her to put makeup on because she's got 2 golf balls, and then a black eye forming.
And you saw that, right? Did you see that footage?
No. So there is a motion. We can't see any of Jane's evidence. I mean, they showed how messed up the house was. We couldn't see any of that. But essentially, I got chills at this part because it was very clear to me that Diddy had been speaking to lawyers throughout this time, ever since the Cassie video dropped and his house was raided. But he puts the pill in her hands. He said, I wrote it down. He said, I don't care what you do, you S his D, you F him, you get out there, you're not going to ruin my night. And she said that she looked at him and she said, I don't want to. And he looks at her and he just says, he tells her to go. And he goes, is this coercion?
Now,
is this coercion?
Time out.
Yeah.
Time out.
That's what she said.
I know. We read that too, and I even for myself, I was like, wait a second, some ain't right here. Something seems weird because she literally is saying coercion, and I'm going, wait a second. I don't know. Something felt funky about that. Like I don't know about you, but it felt a little funky because she's saying specifically. He's leaning over, staring her straight in the face, saying, is this coercion? And I'm going, why would he suddenly say that sentence of all things?
Yeah.
Right then and there.
Well, I felt like that was because of his lawyers. I mean, that was my feeling. And just to back up, I'm not sure if you read the part of the transcript or you saw from Inner City Press about the questioning about the video, the apology video, because I thought this was super interesting. And it made a lot of sense to me, but Jane describes that, she was with him when the video was released. She kind of read through his final draft of the apology. And she said, I like it. It's good, whatever. And then the government's line of questioning from there was like, okay, well, then when you saw the video come out, what did you think? How did you feel? And Jane started to say, well, I was disappointed because, and it was very obvious she was going to say that he did not say Cassie's name. And I think she started to kind of say this. There was an objection and then a sidebar and then a break. And then Mark Agnifilo gets up there and he's like, Judge, we need that line of questioning and the answers completely struck from the record because it was me as his attorney that advised him that he should not mention Cassie by name because I believed at the time they were convening a grand jury and Cassie's name would be mentioned. And that is a big no-no. So we are going into attorney-client privilege. So he was already back and forth with his attorneys at this point. That's why I feel like they might have been like, yo, dude, make sure you get, like, I don't know. I mean, again, who knows? But yeah.
Some seems interesting. I mean, it is interesting that he would say something like that at that time. And then, of course, the Instagram video of him saying, I found therapy, I found God, I found sobriety, the BS, is an interesting video to say the least. And the fact that it was, I guess, heavily scripted is very interesting as well.
We could expect that though, right? Like everybody has a PR team that does that stuff. I mean,
true.
I could see that, but I gotta tell you, Pascal, it was wild to be sitting like 20 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Hearing the video while he's right there. I'm just like, what is happening right now?
What was it? And that's what I was going to ask you. A couple things about like inside the courtroom, right? What is his demeanor? Like what is his vibe so far?
I mean, I think it depends on the day, of course, but while he was listening to Jane's account of what happened that day and listening to the apology, I would say he was not confident. He sat back in his seat. He was listening, but he wasn't making any type of expression. I mean, I think that there have been times that he, like when some of his male assistants were testifying, I mean, he was laughing, he was nodding his head. It was just so weird. I was kind of like, why are these guys here? I mean, I understood. Again, I'm kind of making a joke, but yeah, he was stoic. And I'm sure you saw last week when he almost got kicked out because Nicole Westmoreland was, I guess it technically wasn't impeachment, but calling out Brianna Bongelin, and he's at the jury and he's like, he's like, yup. And he does.
So he really was like,
Well, he nods his head a lot. Like he does nod his head a lot. And I will say the only time I have seen him shake his head no, and maybe I'm not always looking. So, don't at me if someone else reported something different. But for me, the only time I heard or I saw him shake his head no is during Mia's testimony. When Mia said that he SA'd her, he was like, And then when Mia gave her account of Cassie getting the black eye from the bed frame, Deontay Nash and Cassie had not the same story, but a similar story about how, he was fighting and beating on her and he kind of threw her off and she hit the side of her face. Well, Mia basically said that he pile drove her into the bed frame and he was like, Like, so I did see the head nod or the shake twice during her testimony, but he's always like, he walks in super happy. He makes eye contact with all of us. He gives like the hearts to the public. He's always turning around to talk to his mom and his sons and everything. And what's funny? He's always pushing in the chair of Tenny Garagos. He's always like making sure like her chair is pushed in and she's all good. So he's a charmer. He's such a, you can tell, a narcissistic, like just charmer. Right?
He's trying to manipulate. He's trying to manipulate the jury. He's like, look, see, I'm still a gentleman. I'm still a good man. This is all one big, this is all one big witch hunt. Yeah, I'm an innocent man. And the thing is that, I mean, that video itself says enough. But then you hear the audio, you guys got to hear voice messages and all that, and how he's speaking to this Jane Doe sounds insane. I mean, so it's weird because it shows that, to me, it's just seeing that showing that he's a sociopath. To me, it's going, like if I was sitting there and I'm, in the jury, I'm sitting there at this point, I'm side-eyeing the hell out of him because, Yeah, right. You're gonna pull out her chair and make sure she's sitting down, being a gentleman now. But
Yeah.
when you're out here free with all the access to your money and power, you're a butthole. So again,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You can miss it with the nonsense. What's going on with the jury? What's the vibe? What's the energy
Yeah.
that you're seeing from there?
I would say overall, the jury has been a bit difficult to read, minus a few people. I mean, I would say there's a female juror that is definitely pro Diddy. I always see her kind of like, I don't know if she's like smirking, but she's got this look on her face like, oh yeah, like she had the same look when Dawn Richard was getting cross-examined, Mia, and who was it? Brianna Bongolan. She had the same look on her face, like, not impressed. There is an older gentleman, I would say, that looks very distraught. I would say he is the one I can read where he is just like, but he also is always looking at the clock too to see like when we're getting the hell out of there. So he could be distraught for I don't know. One thing I'll also say is there's generational gaps. We've got 3 jurors that are under 40, and I would say there's 6 or 7 that are 60s, 70s. So I'm wondering how it's going to go during deliberations, because a lot of this stuff is could be foreign to somebody who's 70 years old. I mean, right? If you have a woman telling you yes via text message X many times, and look, we only heard from Dr. Dawn Hughes a very short, I mean, she was there for half a day. Are they going to understand why survivors go back to their abusers? Are they going to understand? I don't know. I have no idea. But I would say, the jury it's tough. The jury's out. No, sorry, that was dumb. Oh my God.
No. You're good. I mean, it's like they're still trying to figure out how to use voicemail. They're that old. They're just like, what is BDSM? I'm hearing this for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I really, so I don't know. I honestly don't know what to make of them. Some of them have slept during, some testimony from the HSI or the forensics guy or the video guy. But I truly have no idea, Pascal. It's driving me crazy. I wish they would show a little bit more. I know one woman kind of was like, covered her eyes at some of the graphic videos from Jane's FO or hotel nights. But yeah.
I mean, who wants to see that wild stuff? I mean, let's be real. I mean, they knew what they were walking into when they were, going through voir dire and everything. But still, when it actually happens in your face, you're like, oh, my dear God, that's crazy as well.
It's dark. It's dark. It's not pleasant to sit there and just hear from these women. Like, regardless if people think that this is a federal crime, with Jane, whatever it is, it's freaking sad. And it's horrible that, people can blame her for coming back and wanting to get her rent paid, whatever. It doesn't take away from the fact that, she was miserable inside. I mean, when she talks about doing this with 2 to 3 escorts in one night and vomiting in between and you're like,
okay,
I know.
Can we talk about this? First off, 2 different things. One, I hear that they're trying to bring Dawn Hughes back. Aren't they trying to call her back?
I think they're trying to bring sorry, you said yes. They are. I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen. But I do think that says a lot, for the government right now to be like, oh gosh, because during Dr. Hughes, there was a lot of sidebars. There was a lot of objections. And they knew that was going to be the case because she did not treat Cassie. And that's, they just didn't want her going too deep into things that, she didn't quite know about. And they brought in a different lawyer for that. His name was Jonathan Bach. My opinion that day was that the judge was just kind of over everything. So I'm not sure if he, cared for him or not, but it was kind of a mess that day.
He's had enough. But then the other question I have too is when it comes to, I forgot what I was going to say. I hate when that happens.
No, it's okay.
No. Oh yes. When it comes to Jane Doe's like whole conversation here, her whole testimony, I just want to know your personal opinion about it. Are you thinking like I know I just asked like, is this like a innocent little lamb, or is she like acting? Is this one big front? What are your thoughts on this? Is this Stockholm syndrome? Is like what are you getting? Because the fact that she's sitting here saying like I missed him so dearly after being attacked, slapped a couple times, the shower,
Pascal,
all that.
crazy.
What makes anybody want to come back to that? You know what I mean?
That actually made me want to be in the overflow room, because the overflow room, which is where you go if you don't get into the courtroom, I mean, the reactions are really, really priceless in there. So I have a feeling the overflow room was like, oh, because I could tell some of us were like, we've got our notebooks. Mine is totally full. We're like writing and we're like, I can't believe she just said that. But
right.
I mean, I just don't want to say, but I feel like when the trial's over, I'll be able to really just say everything I want to say.
Yeah.
But I think Jane, for a living, she said that she is a social media influencer. She brought up during testimony that she would be interested in doing OnlyFans. She's talked about this, and she didn't. I mean, she's a single mother, as she describes, and I've had some questions. I don't judge anybody's parenting. I judge nobody. I just know me personally, Pascal, for me to like go to dinner with my girlfriends, I got to get it like cleared with my husband to make sure he'll be home. I'll be gone for 2 hours, like whatever. She's talking about having first dates with Diddy 5 nights at the Faena Hotel in Miami. And I'm like, man.
Wild.
Right. And I'm not judging per se. I'm kind of just like, I'm going to 5 days. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like off the cuff. So I think that, again, it depends on these jurors. And I think that a lot of what we're hearing on the stand, it's so far removed from so many of our normal, humble lifestyles that, again, I wonder if they'll have sympathy. I mean, I certainly still have sympathy because it's awful. But then I guess the other side of your mind, you're like, this is also very, I guess, odd or foreign, if that makes sense.
Right. It's odd. It's foreign. She keeps going back. But then on top of it, there's been other windows of opportunity to get away, but she still keeps staying there. And I guess it's because of the money. It's because of the roof over her head. And I get it. The spoils, the spread, I'm sure are absolutely redunculous. But at the same time, and I'm sure they're glorious, but at the same time, it's like, well, you're still sticking around. You're still there. So what's going on here? And this is one of the things, and because I know I gotta let you go here.
4 minutes. I'll just 45.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So then this is a good way to wrap it up, because we are walking into tomorrow, and tomorrow is a very big deal. Tomorrow, we got the cross. So I'm wondering, do you think that the defense, Diddy's team, is going to make a meal out of Jane Doe? Or no?
So I want to say, I don't want this to come off the wrong way. I'm excited for the cross because Tenny Garagos is doing it. And we've only seen Tenny cross experts. We have not seen her cross a witness like Jane.
Wow.
And Tenny is she is so composed, and she is just calm, and she's very strategic, and she slides things in that you might miss, I think, personally, if you don't kind of, like little things. Like when she was cross-examining the security guard, Eddie Garcia, she's pointing out that at one point, the security guard in the video, Israel Flores, she's like, oh yeah, and look, he's smiling at Diddy. They're sharing a laugh. And then she moves on really quickly, trying to minimize the situation almost. She really is strategic like that. So I'm actually excited to see her cross. And look, I'm nervous. Jane gave us so much, like admitted so much. And she brought up the money, Pascal, so much. She was the one that was like, well, I really needed my rent paid. I really was hoping that if we broke up, he would give me these 3 months. And she would ask him not to, can we keep our contract going to 2 years. So she would say this. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen to her on cross? I think it's not going to be good. I do. I'm sorry, because it took 3 days to get to some of the really, really horrible stuff. Besides, I didn't want to do it. I did it anyway. Now we're talking vomiting, gangbang. Just whatever.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Beatings. I mean, so I think, it's going to be bad.
I think it's going to be interesting. One thing I'm worried about, I mean, here it is. I want to side on this, of course I want to believe everything that she's saying. I want to believe everything that she said in her testimony. But what the defense has done a very good job at least with Dawn Richard, Mia, and
Brianna.
Bana, and Bana,
Yeah.
and Bana. They have been very good at poking holes in their story, and not saying discrediting them. Bana's was really bad. That one was really bad. She crashed and burned pretty bad. Her answers were very vague. She didn't stand on her own 2 feet and stand up against the defense with the questions. She just folded. She just literally, it was like a small gust of, it wasn't even a gust of wind. It was just a regular breeze that walked through, gentle breeze, and she just fell over.
Yeah.
So I'm worried that Jane Doe, it's going to be the same effect, that she's just going to fold and all they're just going to be poking holes and just make a meal out of her. You see what I'm saying?
I actually don't necessarily think that they're going to poke holes, let's say, because I actually think Jane has been very truthful. Very truthful. I mean, I think what they could do is just kind of like, and like I could totally see Tenny doing this, taking things that she said and making her sound ridiculous. Like, for example, when she's like, I was at his beck and call, so I couldn't really work, which I guess would be working with advertisers to post on Instagram, whatever. But she said I couldn't really work. I had to be on call for him. So like I always had to have my hair done or get my nails done. I was always working out. I could see Tenny be like, so you were basically paid to work out and you were paid to get beautiful highlights. Like I could see her doing stuff like that and just sort of taking Jane's own words and making her look kind of dumb when it comes to that stuff. That's what I could see. But in terms of like Conlin, Dawn Richard, that was just straight up like, she did discredit them to a degree. Not saying that they shouldn't be believed, but what she did was she kind of made us think, well, what do these women remember? Why don't they remember something so important if it scared them so much? And what, something like that, I feel like. But so I do feel like, sorry, that was a word salad, but
you're good.
The point is, I feel like it's going to be bad, but it's going to be different. It's going to be like, these are your words. I'm going to reiterate them and tell me how this sounds, type of thing.
Absolutely. I think that, and I hear you on 100% of what you're saying, but I also think that prosecution did a good job laying all the groundwork out for Jane Doe, but they did throw out, and I understand no victim is flawless. Okay. Every victim is flawed in their own ways, but they did throw out a lot of gray. So I have a feeling that the defense is going to have a field day in the land of gray and throw out that doubt for the jury. So it's not so black and white.
Go ahead. Past. I mean, we know that she has a child with someone that Diddy doesn't like. And I appreciate people not talking about it because we cannot, even if we know who she is, we cannot talk about any of that. We'll get kicked out of the courtroom. But she said a lot, I'm sure, people are talking or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure she has some kind of past that they've dug up because everybody has a past to a degree. And if you're in this world and, we've heard that she watches her own, the escort they use, like, with others, it's interesting. So I'm sure she knows a lot of people and there will be things that come up. So you're right.
We're going to see. It's going to be a very interesting experience. I have a feeling tomorrow's going to be fireworks are going to go off right off the bat. It's going to be crazy. And I feel like there's going to be objections and sidebars galore starting right off the bat in the morning. But Lauren Conlin, I want to say thank you so much for coming through. It really, really means a lot. Thank you so much for just chopping it up with us. And again, would love to have you back, later on in the trial so we can talk more and, have a little bit more fun.
I would love to. Like I said, I got to sign my kids up from after school stuff. My hand, I have like carpal tunnel from writing. I can't even tell you, no phones in federal court. I'm like, I am like, a mess. But thank you so much, Pascal. It's so nice to talk with you. And thank you to the chat. You guys are great.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Okay, right. Bye. See you later.
Bye. So shout out to Lauren Conlin. Thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot. She's really great. Go check her out. All right. Her YouTube channel, again, is Pop Crime TV. Go check it out. Go check her out. Check out the content she's been putting out on her Twitter as well, or her X. Okay. She's been putting out a lot of like right out of the courtroom, giving you guys a 10-minute breakdown of what has happened throughout the day. So you definitely want to go check it out. Her updates have been really fantastic. There has been a lot of other people that have been doing really fantastic jobs in their updates as well. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, she's been doing a really great job with that as well. And of course, this was just a very short show, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of something else, and of course bring some people in that are actually in the courtroom, and hopefully you're going to see a lot more people that are in the courtroom be on the show to talk about things that are going on if they got the time to do so, because a lot of them are crazy busy, just like Lauren Conlin. Okay, but that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Like I said, it was going to be a short one, but a sweet one. I'm glad that we were able to talk about it. Tomorrow, it's on. Tomorrow morning, it's about to be crazy. So be sure to tune in. We got defense doing their cross on Jane Doe. Victim number 2 is going to be a very interesting one for sure. Is she going to fold, or is she going to stand tall and strong? You know, reacting to the questions that are coming from the defense. That is the ongoing question. Anyway, we'll find out tomorrow for sure, right? So please do me a favor, hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, okay? Here on this main channel, go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there as well, please, and thank you. All right? Don't forget, hit that join button down below, become a member, check out my Patreon, check out my locals, and of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Okay, guys, it's time to get going. Much love to you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Or if the stuff goes crazy in LA, we'll be talking. Apparently, there's some stuff going on in New York. I don't know. We'll find out if I have to. So we'll talk here soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.